there! Are you dreaming of owning your own house in Ghana? Then you will need a well-documented piece of land that is free from troubles. I highly recommend My Africa Property for any size of land that you will need. With My Africa Property, lands are available in Pram, Sopoli, Tohenia, Ogome, Dodova, Winneba, and many other locations at affordable prices. These locations are about an hour away from the airport, only 35 minutes from the motorway, 10 minutes drive from Central University College, 10 minutes drive to the beach, and close to Pram Senior High School and Ghana Men's Soccer Center of Excellence. For more details, visit our website www.myafricaproperty.com or call our UK office on 0208 123 2523. For our US and Canada offices, call us on +1 585 184 994145. You can also email us at ghana@myafricaproperty.com. Hi guys, this is your friend Uruj from SendWave. SendWave is a money transfer app that is used by people all over the world to send money to their loved ones in Africa. With SendWave, you can send money to Ghana, Nigeria, Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania. And the best part is, SendWave is absolutely commission-free. Our exchange rates are excellent. You can see for yourself by checking them out on our website. So how do you use SendWave? SendWave is an app that you can download onto your phone from the App Store or Google Play Store. The app is free to download. After downloading it, just open the app and enter your name, email, and phone number. That's it. You're good to go. Make sure you use the promo code SR, S for Star, R for Radio. This promo code will give you £5 free credit to send to Africa on your first transaction. Your money will be delivered to your recipient within seconds. Feel free to call me on 0749 7377 647 at any time. I'll be happy to tell you all about SendWave and help you in any way I can. Remember to use the promo code SR for £5 free credit. Medasse.
Hi everyone, it's your girl BB Clement, the author of How to Go From Employee to Entrepreneur and the host of your weekly business show, BB Means Business, the show where we discuss everything you ever wanted to know about business but you were afraid to ask. How do I start my business? How do I raise the finance? How do I grow my business? Where am I going to find my customers? Join me every Tuesday at 1:30 p.m. on Starr Radio UK to get all the information and tips that you need to become a successful entrepreneur and become financially free. Remember, don't let life dictate to you. Rather, put your signature on life.
Listen to Reverend David Peterson.
Welcome to Led by the Spirit. Myself, Reverend David Peterson, the youngest black Anglican priest in the UK to date. Come on, somebody. And the spiritual aide to the Prime Minister's advisor. Wow.
This and every Wednesday from 7:30 p.m. on the Led by the Spirit program on Starr Radio UK.
Hello, lovely listeners. You are listening to the renewed show with Charlotte. Make a date with me this and every Thursday on Starr Radio UK for a time of empowerment, a time of enrichment, inspiring you to stay positive and strong throughout this period. Listen and tune in on every Thursday at 5 p.m. for an hour of power. Stay positive and love you all.
side. I know everything will be alright. Oh, I know everything will be alright. If not for you, I never could have made it. In all my trials, you pulled me through. Oh, though I've been down, I'm never forsaken. Oh, everything will be alright. Now I know everything will be alright. So you have to say this. Be alright. Be alright. Oh, everything will be alright. Come on, let me hear you say it. Encourage yourself tonight. It's gonna be alright. Everything will be alright. Say it again. Be alright. I know it's gonna be alright. I know that everything will be alright. Anybody believe that? Say it.
Nine, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hello, good evening, good afternoon, good morning, anywhere you are around the world, and welcome to another edition of the Deeva Show right here on Starr Radio UK. I hope you guys are feeling great. I hope you had a wonderful weekend, a blessed weekend, I should say. Well, tonight we have a very interesting show for you. I've got some wonderful people on the panel to talk to you about a very important and serious topic that a lot of us tend to overlook, have no understanding, or if we're going through it and experiencing it, we just don't know where to go. And that tonight's topic is about child criminal exploitation. Yes, that is a big word and it's a big thing. But we have some professionals attached with us tonight who will come on and talk to you about their involvement and some of the things that they've witnessed as well. The song that you've just heard, that was by Isaiah Templeton, which is Everything Will Be Alright. And exactly that, everything will be alright. And tonight, if you have any questions or you'd like to discuss an issue that you're feeling, the studio lines will be open much later. I'll give you the go ahead, and I'll ask you now to grab yourself a pen and paper to get yourself ready for tonight's show. So without further ado, I'm just going to welcome on board the Restart team before I introduce to you my special guests that I have. So the Restart team, they should be here on, and that's Natasha Benjamin. She's a creative therapist. That's my niece. Hi Tasha, how are you? Hi. Oh, what's happened here? Okay. I don't know what's happened here. Can you hear us, Tash? Have you got your mic on? No. Say hi, Tash. No volume, no sound. Uh-oh. One sec.
You can't hear her?
No.
Let her speak.
Speak, Tash. Say something. I'm going to try and see if I can get you. She's saying hi. You can hear me, but we can't hear you.
Alright, don't worry.
One sec, Tash. I'm just trying to sort you out. One sec.
You are my refuge in trouble or in need.
Okay, I think we got some sound now. Can you hear us? Can you say something, Tash?
Hiya, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you loud and clear. That's much better. Wonderful. Okay, as I said, this is Natasha Benjamin. My niche is a creative therapist. Natasha, do you want to introduce yourself a little bit more? Tell them exactly what is a creative therapist and what you actually do.
Okay, so my role or my job is to help people to deal with emotional difficulties they have by using creative means, and that can be via drama, music, fine art, dance, and it's just about finding a comfortable medium for that individual to deal with emotional difficulties that they have. I studied drama therapy, and within that we looked at a lot of different ways in which we can deal with traumas that affect us as individuals. You know, a lot of things that we go through, we hold within our bodies, but sometimes we're not able to verbalize them. So looking at creative therapies and using creative forms to express yourself is such a brilliant tool, because it provides individual ways to express. So some people may not find it easy to talk, whereas other people might find it easier to maybe sing something or move, not even dance, you know, just the movement. So that's a little bit about what I do, and today I'm here in a therapeutic capacity to possibly support if anything comes up, and also to provide some, at the end, if we got some time, to provide some helpline numbers. Again, Natasha Benjamin, nice to see you all.
Thank you, Natasha, thank you. And I just saw Shola. Shola?
Hello, Tracey.
Hi, Shola.
Yes.
Yes.
How are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
Very, very well. Very well.
This is our other Restart team, Shola, who's recently joined us from Real Talk Mentors. So, Shola, the floor is yours. You can tell us a little bit about yourself, please.
Yeah, sure. Thanks for the invitation again, Tracey. Pleasure being here. My name's Shola Egbali. I'm from Real Talk Mentors, which I've had the pleasure and privilege to found and be the lead mentor, if you like, in the organisation. Real Talk was founded, we set up about 3 years ago, working with young people based on the whole ethos of paying it forward. So Real Talk has been founded out of a lot of my own personal life's experiences. So I bring lived experience to the table, and then pay it forward to young people, and young people and adults alike, actually. When I say pay it forward, I was asked many years ago, Shola, what do you need? And those 4 words changed my life, and so we feel it's only right and pertinent now that we use those same words again and push them forward to young people of today, and adults alike. It's about looking into foundational issues. We try and look at root causes of the situations of social disorder today, not stroking the symptomatic stuff. And that's us in a nutshell. We're a mentoring organisation, a bespoke mentoring organisation, which means we look to meet people right at the point of their need, as opposed to our need or our expectation. So I look forward to sharing more with you and the team later on today. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And the other person that's part of the Restart team, he's not here as yet. That's Andrew, our registered nurse and mental health worker. All right, let's go on to our special guests this evening. I can see we have Nathaniel PEAT. Good evening, Nathaniel PEAT. I can't hear you, Nathaniel. Are you muted?
Good evening. It's good to actually be here with you guys this evening, and to all the listeners that are on Starr Radio, good night. I hope everyone is having a great time wherever they are at home. Thanks for inviting me onto the program today. Thank you.
Nathaniel, could you tell us a little bit about what you do, just a tiny bit, and then just a tiny introduction, please?
Yeah, sure. My name's Nathaniel PEAT. I'm a social entrepreneur. I do quite a lot of things, in fact, but probably the focus of this conversation is really around one of my enterprises, which is called the Safety Box. The Safety Box is a high-level violence reduction organisation, been operational for 14 years in the United Kingdom, worked across both the criminal justice sector, youth sector, education sector, in disrupting young people basically involved in crime and violence, knife crime, safeguarding youth against drug exploitation, also sexual exploitation with girls, also working with the highest risk offenders in some of the most violent prisons in the country. In fact, in 2013, 2012, when they had the joint enterprise sentence where they were first dealing with gangs operating in prisons, we managed to reduce the violence by 95% in a year. Never been achieved in a British prison before, ever. Evaluated by the University of Illinois, Chicago, and also London Met as saying a rapid and sustained reduction. Since then, the organisation has had several contracts in assisting the police, the Ministry of Justice, the Home Office, schools in addressing the exploitation of young people through criminal exploitation, as well as child sexual exploitation, as an evidence-based public health approach to actually intervening with this. That got a measured impact of about 14,500 young people in the UK, and we're continuing to do these interventions even during this time of COVID virus, and doing one-to-one sessions, albeit via a digital platform. So the work doesn't stop, and it's all about really disrupting violence and helping to safeguard young people so that they have a brighter future.
Okay, well, thank you. We'll be talking to you a little bit later regarding all of those services that you provide. I can see now Stefan Brown from Stop Our Kids Being Killed on Our Streets. Good evening, welcome. Thank you, Stefan, for joining us. I know you're not feeling 100%, and I really appreciate
Good evening. Can you hear me?
Yeah, but it's a bit muffly. Something needs to turn down. Is it your volume, or you're too close?
Can you hear me better now?
I can hear you, but it sounds like something's muffly, like it's too loud, or either your mouth is too close to a mic or something. No, go ahead. You froze just now. Oh dear. You there? He's froze.
Is that better now?
Yes, that's a lot better. Something.
Good evening. Stefan Brown here. CEO of Stop Our Kids Being Killed on Our Street. Started off in gangs, been in the army. I'm at the army, nothing to do but be in a gang in Brixton. But then you start to see too much killings and doing too much badness. I decided to give something back to the community, where one of my friends' child died at the age of 13, and I said, you know what, enough is enough. I can't be doing this no more. So I said, I've got to change some of these kids, how they're thinking, how they're progressing in life. What can we do? So I started an organisation to Stop Our Kids Being Killed on Our Street, where we go into schools, prisons, youth clubs, go onto the streets, actually into the gangs, go into the trenches. It's not all lip service, being on telly and radios and all that. It's about actually being with the kids.
Is NATASHA on the phone?
Actually being with the kids, making sure that the kids understand that it's not just mouth. If we're going to promise something, we're actually going to follow through with it. Try and get them jobs, try and get them something that they want to do, and mental health awareness to them. and getting them out of the gangs, getting them specifically work on, took some of the gangs to Africa, some leaders of gangs who was against each other to Africa to build schools. When they come back, they're best friends now, so it stops the gang violence between two certain gangs, and so on. So, you know, we go on the streets, I think, I won't even count how many knives and guns I've took off the street and handed them into police without children, because they are children, getting licked, and so on. So, seeing it, done it, trying to help the kids and get the county lines sorted out, get the grooming sorted out, get the raping of the young ladies getting sorted out, and so on and so on. Anything to do with crime and youth, I'm involved in.
Okay, thank you, Stefan. Thank you very much. Again, we'll talk to you in a bit more in depth. And also I'm seeing here Nana AKWASI, is that
yes.
AKWASI?
Yeah, Nana YABBEY-HAGAN, yes.
Yes.
Proper African name, yeah.
Lovely. And you are a social worker manager.
Yes.
A very young man as well. So you obviously coming from the direction of the younger people. So take away, the floor is yours. Tell us just a few sentences about who you are, what you do.
Yeah, so my name is Nana. I'm a qualified social worker. I'm a deputy manager in a frontline localities child protection team. So what we're kind of talking about today is pretty much my kind of bread and butter. You know, this is something that's kind of that we deal with as social workers on a day-to-day basis. You know, CCE is something that's very, very difficult. You know, it comes under what we call it contextual safeguarding. So in essence, it's what's actually going on outside of the home for many of these young people, and the risk indicators that are pretty much attached to them. So from my kind of perspective, in terms of the work that we try to do with young people, it is very difficult. You know, we follow through our processes, whether it's child protection and child in need, to kind of disrupt what's actually going on for these young people outside of the home. And we try to do as much assessments as possible to engage not just the young person, but also their families, to kind of equip them to kind of reduce the risk. It is very difficult, and I'd say more so particularly under this kind of pandemic, whereby actually everybody's working from home, but actually the risks are still very much there and pretty much heightened. You know, so it's very, very difficult, CC. And what we try to do is refer young people to a lot of agencies, a lot of mentors, you know, and try and do a lot of the groundwork within the home. But if I say to you it's not hard, it's very, 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 very difficult. And as young people get older, you know, particularly in their mid to late teens, it becomes very, very difficult. The pull is very, very, very strong. So you have to try and put mechanisms in place to kind of disrupt that, you know, and also to keep these young people safe. And I think it needs to be very much a community-based approach. I think, generally speaking, you know, just from local authorities, what we need to try and do is that we need to try and link up with not just multi-professionals, but also with, say, schools, but also with off licenses, restaurants. We have to be a bit more dynamic in terms of the work we're trying to do.
Okay, don't give it away too much. Don't give it away too much. But yes, that is, I mean, all you're saying and more, we can go in depth in that a little later. Okay, thank you very much, Nana, for joining us today and for giving us that wonderful introduction. Okay, let's kick off with SOLA. We're going to go into the program now, and we're going to talk a little bit about, you know, what does child exploitation. I mean, it's in different categories, but today we're talking about the criminal aspects of it, which, you know, a lot of us can connect to it. I have experience in my own settings, but I mean, that's another conversation for another time. But I understand it very fully on how it affects everybody in the family, the community. It's not just exploitation where it begins and ends with the child or the young person. that commits any of the crime, it affects the entire family, and we're the ones that have to live with it and all the consequences that go with it, and then the backlash that goes with it too. So coming from your angle, Shola from Real Talk Mentors, how you've obviously work with a lot of young men as well, so you see a lot of different exploitations in different angles in your setting. Could you just talk to us a little bit about that, please?
Yeah, sure. Tracey, thanks for the floor. You've introduced the whole concept very well. I think we all know what it is. Without mincing words, I think it's a wicked and disgusting trade, if you like, if you want to call it that, where people are obviously benefiting of nothing short than modern day slavery, child abuse, and the perpetrators of it. You know what I mean? They need to be held accountable. As Nana has said, it's something that all of the community. This is not somebody else's problem. This is not an issue just for authorities, to be dealing with. We keep pointing the finger at different organizations, professional setups, that they're not doing this and they're not doing that. I believe the buck stops with the family. It's going to sound controversial. It's going to evoke some emotion. I'm a firm believer in that, because in terms of what we try and do at Real Talk is engage with our young people. Engagement, I believe, is the key. We know these gangs, these perpetrators, whoever they think they are, what they do is they're very sophisticated, aren't they? I mean, as much as the sophisticated efforts that the professional support agencies may have, they are, I don't know how many steps ahead. You know what I mean? In terms of targeting, where these young people are, targeting their own vulnerabilities. And so if there's no engagement in the household, in the family nucleus, the chances are they are going to go out there and be enticed, into, getting involved, enticed with food, cheaply giving their lives away with food, items, money, anything. Look, there's a setup at the moment that the government has in place. They call themselves ERG, and their role is supposed to be giving expert advice in terms of painting a more accurate picture of the CSE offending. Yeah, but what I'll tell you when I says, look, we need to collaborate. There needs to be more collaboration. What we're trying to do at Real Talk is really usher this whole thing of working together as a community. As Nana said, I really respect the work that Nathaniel was doing. Totally hats off to him. We're pure novices in light of what Nathaniel was doing. I'd love to link up with him at a later stage and hopefully get some mentoring of my own, if you like. There's got to be humility applied in this whole thing, because we don't know everything. There are areas that, for example, the formal organizations cannot get into, which we can. We're going very grassroots, very raw and real, hence the name Real Talk. We're able to gain trust. You know what I mean? When you gain trust, gain relatability. The mentoring team that we have available, we're not just mentors on paper. We're people that have lived experience. And so, when we sit down with a mentee, with a potential mentee, the trust is gained, because when we talk to them, they know that, look, these guys have been there. They're talking our language, which means they open up. Trust is gained. And so, as a mentoring organization, as I said, it's bespoke. We're not this one size fits all. If I can say more about really use the word black, African Caribbean community, because again, very, very complex. Now, what's happening is this particular issue is being treated in a very generic and very homogeneous way. So, for example, if you have a black boy that was born and brought up in the UK, and then his case is being dealt with the same as somebody from Kenya, for example, it's never going to work, because they're two totally different situations. The family setup totally different. Somebody that comes into the country, family may not have access to public funds, for example. Yeah, young boy goes out there. There's disrespect going on now in the home because money can't come in. He can't have what he wants, so to speak. Father's role now is negated, and so forth. And then you pitched up against somebody who was born and brought up here, where they have access to everything, but yet the way that the case is dealt with is the same. But I say, well, how can it be? Because you have two totally different situations. And so our role is to try and is to really to go deep into the foundational issues. What is the cause, you know, of this kind of trade? What is the cause of this kind of criminal activity?
Okay, thank you, Sola. Some really interesting, and as you said, real deep therapy and work that you do, and that's in high note. I'm going to come back to a couple of things that you've said. I've made notes regarding that. It's you know, back with the family and so forth. And at this point, I'm going to bring in Stefan Brown from Stop Our Kids Being Killed on the Streets, because Stefan's obviously done a lot of work firsthand with children, especially with the knife crime. There was even one stage that I just thought our children were going mad. I don't know if it was some kind of setup, or it was like the more it was being spoke about, talked about, they were just stabbing. There was like one stabbing nearly every single day. It was just, nobody was listening, nobody cared, and everybody was crying, you know. But people like Stefan and yourselves, you've set up organizations, but these young people, are they listening? Are they hearing? Stefan, take the floor for me, please.
Well, you know what? It's a hard subject, and I don't think anyone's got the right answer to solve the problem. But what I can say is, if you can save one life, you've done well. And I'm sure a lot of us are trying out there to save many lives, which I have. But the problem is, you can put the finger on the government. The government's not going to help us. The only time they sweep up and start doing things is when the children has actually died, or, sorry to say, a white child has died and he's got a bit of money behind them, and then it's on the front page of the newspaper. We don't get that kind of privilege of trying to stop this community. I've been fighting this for nearly 15 years now. I've been to 10 Downing Street. I've been everywhere, talking the talk, talking the political talk, talking the right language they want to hear. Everyone's got the talk to say, yep, we're going to do it. I worked with Mr. Khan. I've worked with everybody. The bottom line is, our children have lost their way because they've lost their identity. The children have lost their way because they don't care about themselves. So why are they going to care about anybody else? The only family they seem to have is the groomer, the man that knows how to train his money and food on the street. On the street. So basically, I do believe that
Where are you, Stefan? We lost you. Stefan, have we lost you? All right. There seemed to be a technical hitch with Stefan. He'll come back. Can I go over to you, Nathaniel, please? I'm just being mindful because of time.
Yeah, no problem at all, you know, and everything that's been said already is covered. I mean, the man them are hitting it straight on the head. You need credible messengers to actually talk to the guys. So that's a lot of my team that's with the safety box are ex-offenders. They've all, you know, been on the drug line. They've done county lines since they were young, you know, from before they even called it county lines. These guys were moving what we call food on the road here. Like, food is drugs. That's a drug term, yeah, for, you know, and literally that's what it is for a lot of these young people. Now, as far as exploitation, there's probably two different categories of young people that get exploited. One of them might be a young person that maybe has an absent father, maybe, or maybe even coming from a stable family, and they might be isolated in school. And so what happens is you'll have like an elder in the community, and we've dealt with lots of primary schools and safeguarding young people against this type of criminal exploitation, whereby you'll be in year 6 and you will have a drug dealer that has got his youngers. Now, for those people that don't know street talk, I'm just going to take it that you don't know what an elder is. An elder is like a leader of a gang or the leader of a line being a drug line. And you have a younger, which is a young person that's involved in this type of gang activity. And what they will do is the elder will then say to the youngers, look, go and rob that youth there, leaving from school. Now imagine you're 10 years old and you're walking home from school and you're approached now by 4 or 5 different 13-year-olds that are coming to you to rob you. How are you going to feel? You're going to feel fearful. Then you have the elder who will come and then shout to the youths to say, yo, you lot, yo, dead the beef with him, man. Allow him, like, leave him alone, innit? Leave him alone. The elder will come and start saying that to the young people. The youth then that are actually working for the elder to try to harass this young person, that elder then will come and put his arm around the young person and say, yo, Maji, what you saying? My name's Nathan. Yo, do you know what? I'll tell you what, look, listen, if any of them boys come back to you, just call for me, just say my name. You hear what I'm saying, fam? So the young person would then immediately have this level of trust for that person. They'll say to them, yo, Maji, look, I see you're wearing some trainers. Look, what trainers you into? Oh yeah, I like Air Max, or I like this, or I like that, yeah? All right, look, here you go. Take this £50. Take this £50. So what happens, that young person now is manipulated into this through fear. They're given that money. What happens now, they will see that person, they'll see the same elder. Every time the elder sees him, they'll say, what you saying, Maji, you're cool. Introduce that young person now as being his family, and saying, yo, you see this, you see my G, yeah, it's part of the crew, you know, is my, don't touch him, you know, don't touch him, you know, is with me, you get me? That young person feels protected. What happens is he gives them another £50, he gives them another £20. Now during the summer holidays, what he says is to him is, look, Maji, what you saying, run this little package up to Stamford Hill, or go take that down to Brixton, or go take that down to Croydon, or go take this thing down to Lewisham, or go and take it to Peckham. Yeah. And what happens is the young person on their bike will then ride it, come back, either to pick something up or to drop something off, and get paid £100. They go to secondary school, they're in year 7 and they're earning big money. Then they're disrespectful to the teacher in the classroom. When the teacher says to them, why are you coming late to school? They say, you know what, oh, shut up, man, I earn more money than you. The teachers are not equipped then with the skill sets to help that young person. And that's a prime way of how, you know, young people are exploited. You've got the other type of young person now who has grown up around it. They've just been in it. They've been groomed by their family. You know, we've worked with a girl who was basically taught how to chop up drugs when she was young. Right? We've worked with people that were on the line from they were young because their family was on the line. We've worked with young people whereby, you know, they've already seen a strap, which is like a gun already, and they're only in year 5 and year 6 in primary school. And so you got that type of profile young person who's born into it. And then they find that there's no route out because they see the people that are earning money in their house. It's the way which they've been taught. And so the pressure comes from there. Then you've also got the girls as well, because the girls now will be drafted in a way to pull boys in. So the girl will be used to get a boy involved. And so we've heard of previous cases where you've had what you call a honey trap, where, you know, there's a girl involved, the girl pulls them out. We've worked with a lot of offenders inside prison where they've used honey traps to get people, and a lot of gang members. And the key thing about this, really, in safeguarding the young people, is you need credible messengers to get into the mind, because some of them are dealing with trauma. So it comes down to the psychology that is in the young people's minds and emptying that, giving them self-esteem. And there was one thing that Steph mentioned here, is identity. Identity is a big thing, because especially if they come from outside of England, their families come from outside of England. Like, you know, I'm black, but I'm Jamaican heritage, yeah? The thing is, I will always say that I'm a Jamaican, yeah, first, and then I'll say I'm British. You know what I'm saying? And I know from my Ghanaian friends and my Nigerian friends here, they're going to say the same thing. Where you from? They'll say, oh, from Nigeria. But the young people now in England, if they go out to them countries, they're not from Jamaica. They're not quite from Nigeria. If they go there, they say they're English. They come back to England, they're not quite British, because you see the oppression that they face in terms of the inequality of the harassment for the police for stop and search, and just us not getting the jobs and us hitting a glass ceiling, and their parents and people talking about that continually. So there is a huge identity crisis there, which we now have to think about building self-esteem and building self-worth and building confidence and showing them that there's other ways to make money through business and entrepreneurship and the right type of mentorship. And so that's why, you know, having this type of conversation is essential for the community, because parents also, you know, have a valuable place in identifying the problems that our young people face, as well as then engaging in courses whereby they will be able to understand what to look for, warning signs, so that they're able to kind of direct their young people away from criminal exploitation. It's a major problem in the community, and, you know, thank you for bringing this conversation. It's a very vital conversation to social media and also via the radio station.
Thank you, Nathaniel. You've touched on quite a lot and some important factors. County lines, as you said, it became. I won't call it a fashionable word, as you said. It was something that was doing for quite some time, but it didn't have no name for it. And then yes, the young people being bribed, feeling that they make more money than an adult, and going out there being befriended by the elders, as you say, thinking that they're and the rudeness, coming back home and back chatting the parents and the teachers and not going to school and stuff like that. But what's interesting is how can parents recognize that this kind of thing is about to happen? Because what tends to happen is that you get the rudeness, you get the child skipping school, and then you got the back chat with them saying, well, I don't need to go to school, and then they go to the local shop where he was or she was, the sweet, oh, hello, good morning, Mr. Miss, and it's like, oh, shut up, that kind of attitude. Where did that all come from? How could parents recognize that there's some danger signs coming, that your child could be facing some kind of exploitation?
Can I talk?
Yes.
Sorry for the interruption. I do apologise, ladies and gentlemen. I've always done this, that when a parents call me and say there's problems with a child, and a lot of things are said on this already I so much agree with, and it's a shame that there's not more people out there just trying to get to the root cause of the problem instead of just putting a plaster over it just for it to leak again. Anyway, believe it or not, if you go in a child's room, you can see in their room alone exactly what is happening on the street. You can lift up their bed and see weed paper, or Vizsla, or weed, or one glove, or balaclava, or new trainers, or where are they getting these things from? What are they hiding? And never keep out my room. It's your house. How dare you say that? Another thing as well, which we haven't touched on, it's a lot of parents out there. I'm not saying a lot, but there's a few parents out there. I'll say a lot because I've come across a lot that are actually taking money off the children who are selling drugs. There's parents out there exactly doing that. I've been to court with some kids, and the parents have told me, what am I going to do now for gas and electric? Because the kids were supplying them with all the gas and electricity and the food. So it's a vicious circle. It's a vicious circle. And what we're all saying is, and the main thing is let's get back to like even just the simple things as the Sunday dinners, where all the kids are together. You're having a food, you're having a thing. You've seen what's going on in your family unit, and you've got uncles. Like we said, there's uncles who are the elders are selling out weed. You've got to talk to them. You've got to stop this around my child. You can't have a bag of youths in your yard smoking weed, playing PlayStation, and think it's okay. I've had parents tell me, oh well, but at least I know where they are. No, it's not okay for youths in your yard smoking weed, playing war games, think it's all cool, then go outside and think it's war games outside. It's not on. And then there's another thing is, look in your kitchen. It's a sorry thing to say. How many knives you've got in your kitchen? How many knives have been missing from your kitchen? I've misplaced it somewhere. No, your youth have took it out of the kitchen. Look in your sheds. How many sheds I've been to where the youths them have been hiding guns and knives for the elders? All kind of things. These are the things you've got to look on. And county lines, when your son doesn't come home, start getting worried. When your son starts to smell when he comes home after 2 days, he's been on county lines, been on the road, guiding the flat, where he's drugged in the flat and he's just selling the stuff. When he's run out, he's come back. Every day I put on my posts, missing child, missing child, missing child. And it's a sad thing to say. And I'm glad you tapped on the women then, the honey traps. The honey traps, and believe it or not, the mental health that's going to come out of this is going to be considerable, because there's a lot of these youths are getting raped. A lot of these girls are getting raped by the gang. A lot of these youths are getting raped by the man. There's man-on-man sex as well going on. There's a lot of unbelievable things that you don't think's happening. It will never happen to my child. Your child goes to school with his tie on, nice shoes, everything. But trust me, as soon as he goes around the corner, that tie's off, his pants are down, he's put his trainers on, he's on road. But again, there's a lot of things that we will have to discuss as well. Is these kids have to run a gauntlet every day just to go to school. I know some kids have to get a Uber to school because they can't pass a certain estate. There's a lot of things going on, and we try to clean up one estate and one estate and one estate. And people say to me, you cleaned up that, but it's move it to that. But then, why don't you clean up your estate? And then you clean up your estate, and then so on, they've got nowhere to go. So anything that happens in that estate, you've got it locked. Why into the community spirit anymore? And plus, all the youth centres, as all of us know, all the youth centres and the social workers are trying their hardest, but the youth centres are closing. There's no money anymore. And in this pandemic, look at this. I'll give you an example. 20 kids have been killed, right, in this pandemic. It's supposed to be locked down. It's supposed to be locked down.
Yeah.
But no, they find a way to be locked out and start stabbing. And you're giving them section 60, which is no good. You're supposed to be a lockdown enemy. So what's the point of giving them a section 60? This does not make sense.
Okay, thank you. Can you explain just quickly before you go, Stefan, what is section 60 for those who are watching, please?
Section 60 is giving the police permission to stop you and search you without any form of suspicion or any form of identity or anything. They can specifically just stop you for anything. Not stop you for anything, but just stop you and search you. Remember, a stop and search is you've got to have reasonable suspicion that something's going to happen. But this section 60, you don't have to do anything. And if you get stopped again with a section 60, you'll be nicked for being on the street. So once you've had the section 60, you have to go home straight up.
Okay, thank you. Nana, can I bring you in, please?
Yeah, so I was just going to say, Nathaniel and Stefan made a good point earlier about trauma. And I'll be honest with you, within our community, that's something that we don't really like to talk about from the very beginning. There's a lot of these young people that we work with. If you look back through their history from when they were young, from primary school, and their behavior, so by the time you get them, by the time they're teenagers, and with all these issues that they were having right now, it's difficult to interrupt it. But as a people, we're not very good at trying to tackle it. You know, it's pretty much, I say, let's go over it. We don't really deal with it. So young people, you know, that I've spoken to, I've worked with, saying to me, I can't go to a certain area. If you're a professional and you're saying that, you're not really listening to the young person. You know, we can't, as adults, we have to be thinking, what's it like for a young person now? You can't even walk to a certain area because your friend has been stabbed or somebody is being killed. But sometimes we're not listening to that. And often, sometimes, we tend to put the responsibility on the young person. And I think that's wrong. We can't be doing that. We have to listen to the voice of the young person in terms of what they're actually going through. But going back to what I was saying earlier about trauma and their needs, a lot of these young people have additional needs that they're not assessed when they're young. You know, so we kind of miss the window in terms of what's going on for them. So by the time that we want to come in and work with them and tell them, actually, you know what, this isn't right, this kind of life you're living, it's almost kind of like too late. So I think from the very beginning, I think from primary school age, like PSHE, the curriculum is something you have to talk about. You have to work with these schools and explain to them, you know what, probably from year 7 to year 11 onwards, this is what's happened. I don't really want to go into education. Young people who are often excluded. We don't talk about young people who were excluded from mainstream school, and then they go to PRUs, alternative provisions, and then that's it. That's it. You know where exactly it's going to be going. Because these individuals, adults, they prey on these young people. They prey on these young people, the ones who are in provisions, the ones who've been excluded. That's it. It's a wrap. So I think that we just need to be a bit more creative. We need to be getting in there early from when these young people are young, and be speaking to parents and say, you know what, they need to be, you've got to put this work in from now. Because otherwise, professionals like us, we're going to find it very difficult when you're dealing with a 15, 16-year-old, 17-year-old young person who's very much deep into it, who's exploited. You're telling them, a guy's giving you what, 3-4 bags a week. You're going to come and tell them, actually, you know what, no, this is the risk. Then it's too late. So I think we need to be getting in there a bit more earlier. That way, we can disrupt it. I think we're getting in there a bit too late sometimes to kind of prevent it. We have to start a bit more earlier from primary school and then work our way up. That is the way we need to do it.
Okay, and I fully agree. I've got some more to add, especially to social services. Is Natasha there? Tasha, do you want to add something? Are you there? I'm not sure.
Yes, I can hear everybody. I'm here.
Okay.
I definitely have been listening, and one of the main things that have come up for me is this thing about identity. I know it's kind of going back a little while into the conversation. However, as a therapist, this is one of my main areas of focus when I am working with clients, including adults. You know, some adults have gone 50, 60, 70 years even, you know, and not even dealt with who they are as an individual, let alone their own children, grandchildren. So we talk about generational trauma, you know, we're talking about exploitation, but it comes back to who we are as individuals. And I heard my Aunt Tracey ask, well, where does it come from? You know, she asks that question, you know, when they start being disrespectful to the shopkeeper or to the parent, where does it come from? It's generational. So it has been drip feeding. Even if you think you've been the most perfect parent, it's been drip fed. And you know, there's an organization called Catch 22 that work in the community around gang violence and things, or sexual exploitation, and I watched a video on their website, and it's quite a simple video of a mother having 2 children and missing vital signs. So for example, when the telephone calls, when she's with the child and answers the telephone, instead of paying attention to this child's needs, just to as we do in therapy, we call it closing the communication. So, you know, you're starting this communication with your child. It's quite important. In the video, it was them going to a doctor's appointment. Finish that doctor's appointment when you come out. Ask them, how did it go? Don't just answer your phone as soon as you come out of doctor's surgery with your child. Sit with them and really find out what is going on. How do they feel? Because what came out in that GP might not be what is really going on, and that might be the opening. For example, in the video again, the child was sitting in the room dazed, focusing on a poster about child exploitation, sexual exploitation, and the mother didn't see that. She didn't say, oh, what are you looking at? So it's these simple things. I heard you talking about looking under the bed, you know, looking in your under the children's bed, looking in the kitchen cupboards. It's simple things. And again, as a therapist, we'll look at parenting, you know, so we bring the whole family together, and it's little things like this as a parent that we take for granted, that may be vital in supporting that child, in acknowledging what's going on, you know. And it's not just the parent. We live in a community. There are others that can also be our eyes and ears, and you know, this is why we had things like, okay, it's not child criminal exploitation, but this is why we have these guidelines in place for safeguarding, because of things like Victoria Kalimbe and Baby P and stuff like that. So, you know, it's important that we as a community are also looking out. You know, I work voluntarily in my spare time with every child I come across. Every single child I come across, I will intervene on a daily basis if there's something that I can intervene with. And it's as simple as, why are you standing there? What are you lot doing? Engage with them. You know, they might not even know there's a local youth club that is open, because as you said, they're closing down. So as a therapist, it's about finding, for me, sometimes I might not be the ideal therapist. A lot of the time I am, because of my street ways and whatever I know, but a lot of the times they don't get the right therapist even. Is it the right therapist they're being sent to? So we might even get them to the therapy, but it might not be right for them. So, you know, again, it's about engagement.
Okay, thank you, Natasha. Engagement. The telephone lines are open for those of you who would like to call in before Nathaniel and also Stefan leaves, which will be pretty much soon, to ask any questions, or if you have any concerns. I'll just read out the studio line, which is 0208 133 2257. 0208 133 2257. Okay, you can text or WhatsApp on 075 3966 1744. 075 3966 1744. Okay, so the phone lines are open. Please call for anything that you'd like to discuss. Just before I go back to Nathaniel, I want to ask Tasha, there's a few comments. Are you able to read that out for me, please? So some of the audience have left a few comments for us.
Yep, that's fine. Okay. So we have Roderick Lisa Karen. When we was talking about Section 60, she said exactly. I said the same thing about Section 60. It's for a few days, and that is it. And they know that this, so clear out way for a while and then come back. So she's trying to say, or he's trying to say, that it works for a little bit, but then it just returns. So it's not a fix, and I think that's what the panel was also saying.
Okay,
it's for 24 hours. It's for 24 hours. Just 24 hours.
Yeah. Okay. Then we've got, thank you. Then we've got Marvin Fishley. Well, based on something that was said earlier, based on exploitation, children and youths don't need steering out of crime. They are well aware it's wrong. They need steering out of exploitation. They don't need diversion. They need intervention. So that was Marvin Fishley. Has the panel got anything to say on that?
You go over to Nathaniel. Yeah, sorry, because
there's two sides to that. There's two sides to that. Yeah, you got the guys, you got the man them that want to do it. 100. Like I'm gonna tell you, there's guys out there that just want to do it. Let me tell you, if you talk to the guys in jail, right, and you talk to any of the guys that have served any sentence, right, they decided they wanted to do it, right, and they know how to play the system. And when they return back onto the road, they do the same thing again. So they've got to be clear in terms of looking. Not all of this stuff is about exploitation. Some of it is about choices, because the worst thing on the street, it's not the knife or the gun. The most dangerous thing on the street is the mind. And this is where the therapeutic side is such a critical part of actually helping those who are deeply embedded into it through choice, and also the ones which have been exploited because of something that's happened in life. Both have probably had some level of trauma in their life, whereby you might have had a young person who's, experienced dad beating them up, or witnessed somebody getting shot or stabbed, or, something's happened in their house. Or in fact, a parent might have died. Grandma might have died. That set them off when they were age 10. Yeah, and these are the stories of many of these type of broken people where they've made proactive choices to actually do this. One high risk offender that he founded one of the biggest gangs in Tottenham. We worked with him inside jail. He's out now. He's been out for about 4 years. But when we talk about his life story and when he got involved as a young offender, it was because his cousin had got beaten up really bad, and he didn't have any power in himself to basically protect that person. So what he did is, as he was going through dysfunctionality at home, he made a choice to get involved in the gang and became more violent as a result of that, so that he could have protection for his family. And so this is the way in which young people take on this responsibility. And so yes, there is an element of exploitation, and we've really got to hit on this exploitation. We've got to show the teachers, we have to safeguard, and even frontline workers, some of the social workers are not equipped to help these young people. When they're talking about the young people, we've done so much work outside of London, where we're getting Bracknell, Reading, Northamptonshire, Bedfordshire calling us out of London to go and work with these young people on incubated intensive support programs, where when they run a order from the court that is putting them in care. Now the council is the legal parent for that child, and the amount of times we've been called out to help the social workers because they're just not equipped. The social workers are overworked, got 14 young people on their file, do not how to work with a young person that's coming from an inner city community like Birmingham or Manchester or even London, where there's organised drug lines and county lines, and they don't know, and they don't have the ability to equip them. And so this is where support organisations need to be able to give them the training, because the training they do is not going to help them for dealing with this type of young person. And so that young person, because they're not getting the right help when they're out on an order from the court are going to breach and breach and breach and breach, and then get sent back to prison. And then the cycle is perpetual because the real issue hasn't been fixed, which is the mind, which is why it's important for teachers to have some level of trauma training. It's important for social workers, frontline gang workers, mentors, everybody that's working within it has to have some level of understanding. In addition to that, being a credible messenger, because you can't be an academic because they don't listen to CAMS officers. They don't go to the CAMS. Sorry, that's the for the listeners that are listening, CAMS is like a professional child mental health worker. Yeah, they're professional. They're normally an academic. All right, they're not culturally competent.
Real talk.
I think Tasha want to say something.
Let him land.
All right, let him land.
All of them. Some of them are culturally competent. Some of them understand what it's like growing up in the ends or have an understanding of the cultural experience of that person. Not all, but majority. There is so much need for mental health, and there's not enough CAMS officers, psychologists to work with the young people that have a cognizant understanding of what they're going through. And so the young people would not want to talk to them. Most of these guys don't think they've got a mental health issue. That's the first obstacle that you've got to get over. You got to access mental health. 100%. And I'll even dovetail onto Steph to see if Steph can add in it, because it's about credibility. It's people that understand it properly. So I'm gonna dovetail off to Steph now to see the same thing.
You know what? All right, let someone else chat, because I'm just so glad there's people out there the same as what is. Oh God. No, go on, go ahead.
Because Steph, that's how I know you, even though you don't remember me. That's exactly how I know you. So go ahead.
Yeah, but I've been saying this for years now. You can have someone from a college come out, they've done a thesis on gangs, never been in a gang in their life. And all they've done is read a book. Probably a book the man's written in jail, and said, "Yep, I know about it now, and I've passed my essay, and I can go and be a talker." Work. They can talk politically correct as much as they want. The youth is not going to listen to you. The youth is going to boil you up and tell you about your ass. Sorry for my language. Yeah, you've got to have credibility people that's been there, seen it, done it. You know what I mean? And the things these kids are seeing, like you said, the trauma. You don't see some of the things they see even when you're in the army. They're seeing guts on the floor. They're seeing people getting their brains shot out. They've been this and this. This is trauma. This is post-traumatic stress, and they act these things out on the street. So what do you expect them to be when they come back to jail? They've got to be, if you think jail is nice, the men that are here who work in jail, if you think jail is nice, trust me, you're still running the gauntlet harder in jail than you are on street, because you've got all the gangs in there. You all think you're hard. You all think you're brave. I've seen so much bad man cry like beasts because they don't want to be in. So let's not pussyfoot around it, because everybody likes to pussyfoot around. This. For all of us to sort out. Our community has to sort out this problem, because it's only going to get worse and worse and worse and worse. And stop. The government needs to stop it, saying that, oh, we've all got to be under an umbrella. We've been saying this for years, that you've got to have everybody from the social workers to teams like yourselves to be in a one place and a one time. And it has to be from your leave primary school, part of the curriculum. You've got to know about gangs and grooming and county lines and everything that goes on the street. So when you leave school, primary school, you know what to expect at junior school, because you're going to get someone come and check you and say, you know what, I need to use you to make money for me. They don't care if you're dead or not, because they move on to the next child, and the next child, and the next child, and the next child. And you know what?
Okay.
I've been so many schools to say, right, how many of you think you're going to reach to the age of 19? There's not many people put up their hand and say, yeah, I'm going to reach to that age. And that's a terrible sign.
Hold on one sec, Stefan. I think we've just got a missed call from somebody who's trying to get into. We're going to call them back. Somebody that's trying to call into the studio. Maybe they want to speak to you guys regarding. And while we're doing that,
when I talk, I just talk. Sorry.
No, that's fine. I'm glad you guys are getting into it, because the message is getting out. That's why they're getting interactive. I've got a WhatsApp here which says, greetings teams, you are 100% right. We all can play our part in the community. I am the author of Raising Up Role Models, which focuses on how the community need to upskill to become a community that can help to raise a child and be there for them. Available on Amazon. Okay. The key time is love and discipline with the community. Okay, that's what they're saying. Love and discipline with the community. Love that Nathan is saying that the mind being the most dangerous thing on the road today. Okay, let's hold on 1 minute. I think we've got a caller online. Let me see. Have you got them?
Hello?
No. Hello, caller. Are you there?
Hello.
Oh, yes.
Hiya.
Hello, caller. Good evening. You're through to the
Good
Deeva
evening.
show on Starr Radio UK. Thank you for calling. And what's your name, please, caller?
My name is J. Coda Kent.
Oh, hello, JJ.
Hi. Hiya.
Okay. So, do you have a question for any one of the panelists?
Yeah.
Or- Right, go ahead.
Yes, I wanted to ask a question. Don't you think it is to do with the educational system and how some of the ethnic minorities, like the BAME community, are put down in the community of the education, and that the education is not built around for the black community as it would be for their white counterparts?
Can I ask SOLA to come in and then we'll go back?
Please.
Yeah.
Love to. Yeah, caller. Thanks for that question. First, I want to say, BAME. I detest that word. It doesn't represent. When we talk about the black and ethnic minority, it doesn't represent black people, right? So, for example, that you have the BAME set up, and you have, and it's not being funny, not being discriminatory. These are the facts. You cannot have somebody who's non-black representing black people's issues, and vice versa. So I just want to state that first off. Education system, yes, it has a part to play, but if we turn around and say, look, the first school of a child, of any child, is the home, right? We're still going back to the home setup, right? And when I say home, I'm talking about the family nucleus. I think it was Stefan that pointed out, mentioned earlier on about not always being fathers or family and so forth. The family nucleus I'm talking about. So if there isn't always the 2.4, the mum, dad, 2.4 children, there's a family nucleus, right? We use this analogy very glibly. It takes a village to raise a child. My question, whenever I hear that, I always turn around and say, okay, look, but what kind of village is it? Who are the elders of that village? Who are the spokespeople of that village? Who are the people that are transferring positive role model messages down the line? Yeah, so we can look at education, we could look at external factors, we could look at mainstream education, but I always said it's got to start from somewhere. It's got to start from the root. Something that Natasha said, just extending, and I love it. I love everything that everybody said it, by the way. But one thing that leapt out for me when she was said it, I was just getting goosebumps. Look, the generational trauma. Right? It went back to the question that Tracey asked. Where does it come from? Right? The root. That's the root cause. Everything else are symptoms of the generational stuff. Right? Which we've spent so much time, so much money, so much resources trying to deal with. But we've not gone back to the root. And I think that we need to be spending more time, more energy, coming together like this, really talk the real stuff, and then being able to go away and, and sort of formulate.
Hold one moment for me, Charlotte. Sorry to cut you. Caller, has the question been answered for you?
Yes, it has. Thank you very much.
Okay, well, that was my nephew. Good evening to you. Thank you very much for calling in. Thank you.
Tracey, sorry to cut in. Sorry, Shola. I want to respond to that, what you were saying, because we've got some comments. A person called Marvin Fishley was saying that sometimes it's not just generational. Many of these crimes or behaviours from our children or youth stem from peer pressure. The company they keep or associated with, and even social media plays a very important role in terms of impacting these youth's life. It is mandatory for parents to be involved more in their children's life, supervising them as to where they go and what they watch, etc. And just on that note, I would also like to say all of those influences are part of generational trauma as well. So whether it's the TV shows that they're watching, those people that are producing those shows have got some kind of generational trauma. Those prayers that they're hanging about with have got some kind of generational trauma. And again, if you look at communities, like depending on the locality of these young people, the crimes are different according to their locality. So why do you think that is? It's because they're around a particular I wouldn't like to say background, because then that kind of like stereotypes, but it's true. We have a certain generational trauma in certain backgrounds that are recreated in other forms in our societies. And I'm going to also, on that note, if you don't mind, go back to Nathaniel's thing about the psychologist or the CAMS workers, which are child and adolescent mental health teams. Okay, I definitely agree with you. I myself went to study this because I went through really traumatic violent crime, and I decided that I needed to know how to help myself and my daughter, because every time I presented to services, they didn't understand me and they were looking at me like I was strange. But you know what I've just been through, why am I strange, you know? So I took it upon myself to go and apply for a course. Now this thing that caller just said, Jacoda, who is my cousin, he just said education. I'm going to start here, right? There's my alarm going off. I'm so sorry. I need to turn it off or it's going to keep going. Hold on.
Okay.
Just to jump off and dovetail off of the education piece. Yeah, the education piece is so powerful. You know, there's a statement which I always say, which is this: those who read are the ones that lead, and the ones that lead are the ones that definitely do succeed. And the thing is, it's about having the right type of education. Because when you have an education with a young person that's coming from poverty, yeah, talking to them about business, how they can turn their skill sets which they have into business, where they might have a clothes design, you know, they've got their own little design, you know, and they can make their own clothing label, but the curriculum is not designed in a way that will help them to see the tangibility of their income or how they're going to earn money. And so education is a critical thing, in fact, in fighting this, because the more they know, the more they're informed, the more confident they will feel in the classroom. A lot of young people that we've worked with in schools in particular, when they have bad behavior, it's because there's a level of illiteracy. And so then them not identifying that young person might have dyspraxia or even dyslexia when they're coming through year 1, year 2, from reception right the way through, because the assessment has not been done when they're looking at their scores in the early years, when they're doing what you call age appropriate or below age appropriate, and the school does not care for that black child that's in the primary school. I'm telling you the truth. They don't care about that black child in the school, and so they've got all of the other kids that are at age expectancy. Our ones, when they're only 3 and 4 years old, are below age expectancy. They have their predicted grades going into key stage 1. They don't follow them through, and so they don't put the interventions. Why? Because they save money. Because if they put that child under dyslexia or they put them under dyspraxia, they got to pay extra £6,000. They're giving the money. What are you using the money for? They can
Could I just say, Tracey?
Sorry to cut you, Sola. Roderick made a comment on our...
Hold on, 1 minute, Tash. 1 minute, Tash. Her name is back to front. It's actually Lisa, though. And that's her surname.
Sorry, what's her name?
Her name is Lisa Broderick. Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry. So just on that note, Lisa said 100% from nursery age even, they don't like doing assessments because it eats into their money. People need to utilise and know how to exercise your rights and get the knowledge out to empower parents and family members that may have taken on the carer role for that child. So I just wanted to put that in, okay?
All right, so I know Charlotte wanted to say something, but I want to hear something from Nana. I haven't heard nothing from Nana for a little while. Before you jump in, Nana, I just want to check with Nathaniel and Stefan. The time is gone over what you guys said you wanted to stage. Are you willing to stay?
I'm staying. I'm glad I'm speaking to people that do the same thing.
Okay. Who said that? Is that Stefan? Okay, so what about yourself, Nathaniel?
Yeah, I've got about another 10 minutes. I have to be out by about 8:20, but vibrant conversation. It's really, really good so far.
Okay, brilliant. Okay, so can we go back to Nana, please?
So I was just going to pick up from what Nathaniel said earlier about how professionals work with these young people, and I think that's quite key, because if you're going to work with a young person in a certain type of way that they can't identify with you, they're not going to want to open up in terms of what's actually going on. When I was a social worker on the ground, I was quite fortunate. My manager gave me a lot of flexibility to go and see the young people in their locality, work with them a certain way for them to be open with me about what was going on. That was my route in. And I do agree with what you're saying, the fact that sometimes I think some professionals, they don't know how to work with these young people. You've got a young person who's aggressive, like, all right, cool, can you chill? They wouldn't know how to deal with them within their arena. So sometimes you've got to take a bit of your professional hat off. Sometimes. 1 second,
Nana. Caller, can you just hold a moment, please? I just want Nana to finish off what he's saying, and I'll come straight to you, caller.
Take a bit of your professional hat off and meet the young person, because young people, what they do is that they push, and they want to push and hoping you don't push back. So you need to be innovative and adapt to the current circumstances of what you're dealing with, a young person who's angry. And I think, Nathaniel, you absolutely said it right. If you've got a CAMS worker who you're only going to see the young person in their office, no, why don't you go and see the young person in their community? That's what I do.
In the environment.
I would go and see young people in the estates, or when they chill on that's my direct work. So if they're going to tell me, oh, Nana, you know what? This is what's going on with me. They're more likely to, yes, I've got to do my risk assessment because I've got to know, actually, is there a risk to me? But actually, most of the time, yeah, Nana, come and see me here. I'd go out there to the ends and go and see the young person. And then they will speak to me and let me know, but oh, you know what? I can actually talk to my social worker because actually, he knows what I'm going through. He gets where I'm coming from. But I think some professionals are very much boxed in. You want to stay in? No, you have to think outside the box. Go to where the young person is sometimes. Go to where they are. See what they're seeing, because as professionals sometimes we might just work from our office and think, you know what, that's it. No, you have to bring yourself to the young person to be open.
Thank you. Hold it right there for me, please, Nana. Caller, can you go ahead? Good evening. Welcome to the Deeva Show on Starr Radio UK. Who am I speaking to, please?
You're speaking to Martin Stevens. I'm the gentleman who got the message in about raising up role models.
Thank you. Welcome. Thank you very much, Martin. Go ahead. Do you have
no problem? Yeah. So, good evening to everyone. I'm loving the discussion and what's being said. And I just wanted to add and ask, how can we best help young people if they get themselves into trouble and they need somebody to call? Because what we seem to have is a situation where young people don't know who they can get in contact with. But to tie that in with the question, please bring that side. To tie that in with the question, my book is aimed at raising up role models because I believe the community really does position themselves in a way where they can impact the lives of our young people. Now, I know that the gentleman said there that he kind of feels a certain way when he hears that, but that is the solution. But the issue is that the community are not really equipped enough to be able to help raise the young people. So I believe that in training up adults to realize that they are the ones who young people can turn to is going to be the solution. How do we do that? By letting them know that they need to develop themselves, read books, learn certain things, find out how they can be best positioned to help young people. And in doing that, it takes the load off of certain organizations that are trying to do their best to help young people. It takes the load off of organizations like CAMS and so on and so forth, if we're actually waking up individuals. Now, the people that I target are godparents. My book is primarily aimed at godparents and secondarily aimed at aunts and uncles because the same strategies work with both. The reason that I say godparents is because there are hundreds, if not thousands, of godparents who are forgetting about their godchildren. And I've interviewed so many people, and when I interview them, they're like, you know what, actually, I actually do have godchildren, and I've not seen them or heard from them in a while. And many people only contact their godchildren for birthdays and Christmas. And my book is aimed at saying, look, there's so much more you can do in between their birthday and Christmas that will change their life. It will let them know that there's somebody that's out there that loves them, cares for them, and is supporting them. And it also helps the parents of those child, because they're becoming a person that is reinforcing in a positive way, you know, the good certain affirmations that the child needs to hear. So I've kind of, I don't know if I've gone off topic, but essentially the question I wanted to come back to the gentleman, the people to say is, what can we, who can we direct our adults to if our young people get in trouble and then they phone us, they phone the parents, they phone the godparents, the aunts and uncles, and says, look, I'm in trouble. Who can we get in contact with? Should it be an organisation? Should it be our local MPs? Should it be our community influencers, or should it be all of the above?
Okay. Can you just hold 1 sec from us, please, caller? Thank you. Very, very interesting information that you've just put forward to the panelists. Nathaniel said that he wanted to ask a question.
Yeah, okay. This is really just very, very, very important, all right? Because when we're talking specifically about young people that have been criminally exploited, or young people that have been sexually exploited, you might actually be sending someone, if you have no formal trauma training, to open them up even more, whereby you might cause self-harm, you might cause them actually to go out and beat somebody down. If you're going to them and that person is ill-equipped to work with a young person, and they say, come on man, you can be strong, man, you can be strong. You see this action of the fist going into the hand, right? When they say, come on, you can man up. No, don't worry, you can be strong, bro, you can be strong. Or the affirmation which you're giving them, which you're giving them, I'm a leader, I'm not a follower. I'm a leader, I'm not a follower. Or you're giving them an affirmation like that. But the thing is, their self-esteem has been crushed down so far, because what's happened is their dad has been saying to them, come on, man up, be a proper man, bang, and slap them in their head. Or shut up, man, you're meant to be a leader, not a boom, 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 and swearing at them and hit them in their face. And now the affirmation which you're equipping them with is simply triggering trauma. So it's really important that if you are going to be doing anything, you engage with an organization that is specializes in dealing with these issues, to get whatever relevant training is necessary for that young person. So there's levels also. So I think that everything that you're saying in terms of your book, I think is critical. I think every family should have that if they're raising children, full stop. Whether they're in crime or not in crime, just full stop. It's just a blanket. I teach my son affirmations. I don't hope that he's not going to get involved in anything, but you equip them for life. That's the first thing. The second thing, just to answer your question really more directly, is there are a number of different youth organizations and charities that are out there. You can go online and you can Google, right? If they have seen a crime, an incident, and they're frightened of telling the police, they can go to Fearless, all right? The number is 885511, okay? Fearless. They can text message that, or they can call 0800 555 111 if they've seen an incident like a knife attack, or they've seen somebody pull out a gun and fire the gun, so that the police don't harass them or get them up into court or take a statement, or the police are not outside the house trying to get a statement from them. They can inform Fearless. There's other organizations, Childline. There is several big charities that can help young people that have been exploited. In addition to that, you've got other people like a good friend of mine runs Gangs Line, and there's other support organizations, the Safety Box. There's organizations.
Stop our kids being killed in our streets.
Stop our kids exactly. Real Talk Mentors. What are we talking here? There's organizations out there. You just got to Google. You've got to Google and you'll find it. You'll land. Just give them. We get some of them calls all the time. We get them calls all of the time. Parents reaching out, young people. Because if they are desperate, if the parents desperate, they will find the right people. Trust me, they will find the right people.
Okay, so thank you, Nathaniel.
Just to add,
just one quick before Nathaniel, don't go just yet, let the caller just finish, and then before you go, caller, if you can also just mention your name of your book again, and where can we get access to that, please?
Sure. So just wanted to add that in the back of the book there is a directory as well. So there is certain organizations that are listed in there that include like Manhood Academy and the other organizations, some of the ones that he mentioned as well, but not all of them. But that is in the directory as well. So the name of the book is called Raising Up Role Models, and it's available on Amazon for purchase, and my name is Martin Stevens.
Lovely. Thank you very much, Martin, caller today. Thank you very much. You made a very good contribution, and for sharing your book and so forth. Let's just hope that we can reach, as you said, I mean, it's something that we tend to forget. I put my hands up. I'm a godparent, and I don't think I've been a brilliant godparent either. But it's not that. It's not I don't want to. It's just exactly you get caught up with life, and I think things like these need to come out, and we need to have discussions to remind what our roles and responsibilities are. Yes, but thank you so much. Thank you so much, Martin.
Raising up role models as well is on Facebook. There's a group on Facebook. I'd love for people to, search it and add themselves to that group to keep updated with the different strategies and suggestions that I'll make through there as well.
If you do me a favour, in the WhatsApp, if you leave me your telephone number or something, maybe I can invite you on the show one day to talk a little bit more about your book and stuff. That would be great.
Absolutely love that. Yeah,
lovely.
Yeah, that'd be fantastic.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yes.
All right. Okay, so I'm going to go over to Nathaniel. Are you going to be staying? I know you're signing off now. You said roundabout.
Yeah, I'm pushing it tonight, I'm telling you, man. All right, I'll give you another 10 minutes, and I've got to go 100%. But I'm going to stay because, the conversation is so vibrant, and it's important, I think, we have these conversations. And, I did mention some of the numbers before, and so really just to repeat some of those numbers, I mentioned Fearless. Again, if they've witnessed a incident, a crime, or anything, and this will be anonymous, they can text 885511, or they can call 0800 555 111. If you're looking for any type of training and just getting into the space of how to safeguard a child and the right mechanisms and the right ways to support, there's training which you can access through like organizations like the NSPCC as well. They do some level of training in terms of what you can do in terms of safeguarding and the right types of channels that you can actually go through. But then for more grassroots type of solutions, again, you've got real talk mentors. You've got we've got all the people on this chat right today. That's it. Safety boy, keep our kids free from all the life crime and all the organizations that are out there. Yes, so blessings.
Hello. Okay, can you hear me, Trace?
No.
Can we hear Tracey? What's happened? I think
sorry, you couldn't hear me. Yeah, no. What I was saying is, Nathaniel, if you could leave us your details of how you can be contacted, your socials and so forth, and your organisation details, please, and then we'll go back to Nana and then Sola, please, because Nana was talking before. Sorry. Did you hear us? Did you hear me, Nathaniel?
Yes, I heard you. Okay, so I'll give you some of my details of how you can reach me before I head out. In fact, I'll go after this. The organization which I'm the founder for is called The Safety Box. Just easy, The Safety Box. THE Safety Box. TheSafetyBox.org. You can access on all social media and also on our website where you can plug into us. We've got our number you can call, which is operational between 8 o'clock and closes at 7 o'clock. I'm currently trying to get an extension so we can actually become 24 hours, but at the moment you can catch us in the daytime. In addition to that, I did mention some of the organizations that you can contact. Being Fearless, the number is 0800 555 111, and you can reach me on all of my social media channels. It is at Nathaniel Peat on Twitter. It is at NatPeat, NATPEAT on Instagram, and on Facebook it's just Nathaniel Peat. And the organization is just The Safety Box. So if you need support for your children in school, if there's parents that want help in how to safeguard your young people against gangs, we do that. If you have someone that's in prison and you need some support as an organization that has and contracted directly by the Ministry of Justice to do that as preferred violence interrupter organization, then you can link us directly then to the education managers at the prison as well for those people that are there to support them. So also for young people that are exiting prison as well, we have support services for young people that are exiting prison also in resettlement. So thank you so much for having me this evening.
Hold on one sec, Nate. I think there's a caller. I'm not sure if they're going to speak to you or... No, the caller's not there. Okay, well, yeah, go ahead, Nathaniel.
Yes, I just want to thank you so much for bringing this very powerful conversation to the community. It's important that we talk about, and I'm hoping that this will stay online so other people can actually see it. You know, please do connect with all of the amazing individuals that are on this call today. They're putting in the work and they're doing the job, you know, and we are here and encouraging people to connect with us on socials and to link us on our website. You can use the contact form to get in contact with us to help to safeguard our young people. You know, it's about keeping them safe and awakening their creative potential so that they can become greater in life. Let us aspire to inspire before we expire. We are the champions. Let us come together, work together as a multi-agency approach using the community, the churches, the mosques, the support services, the NGOs, the psychologists, everyone. If we work together, we all can basically create a change, just like it is on the Planet of the Apes. When the ape basically puts up one stick, he says, one stick weak, two sticks, three sticks strong. You know what I'm saying? As a community, come, let's be strong. If you can see my fist online, that's what I'm talking about. Strength. You see what I'm saying? All right, 100%. Anyway, listen, guys, I'm going to sign out tonight. Thank you so much,
Nathaniel Pete. Thank you. And I'm sure we'll be having you again another time. Thank you so much. Okay, can we go back to Nana, please?
Yeah, sorry, can you hear me? I think I cut out.
Yes, I can hear you loud and clear, Nana.
Yeah, so it was just to kind of say, in terms of what Nathaniel said in terms of going forward, I do think there needs to be a lot more partnership working going forward. I think with local authorities in particular, start kind of liaising with like restaurants, community resources, where we're actually, there will be our eyes and ears in terms of kind of seeing where risks are to young people. We need to actually do that kind of going forward. I think we're going to have to just kind of move away from our traditional kind of way of working, to reach those young people. I mean, if I just talk about in terms of SOLA, in terms of the work he's doing for Real Talk Mentors, part of the work we're trying to do is to get in there from the very beginning. So yes, we need diversionary work, but you need intervention from the very beginning when you see those indicators. So I think we all have a part to play. I do think Nathaniel mentioned about social workers and the fact that actually we're not always equipped, and yeah, that may be true in terms of resources. We're very much spread very thin to be able to reach to those young people. And yes, caseloads also impact as well. Even the child protection process, I would say it doesn't always work for these young people. But I think if we're able to touch base with our local amenities that the young people actually access, then we can actually do a lot more better work with them to cut all these kind of risky behaviors out completely. And also not to see young people as perpetrators. Exploitation, they are victims at the end of the day. Whether they're making choices, even if we say they're making choices on their own free will, or whether they're not, they're still young people. They're under the age of 18. They still need guidance from professionals. And we need to work with them in a certain way that meets to their level, not to our level. We're the adults, but this is their lived experience, and that's what it's about.
Can I just ask a question before I go to SOLA, and then we'll go to Stefan? I've heard about similar experiences with. I've even experienced some myself, but when it comes to social services, they tend to say, well, the child is not basically being mentally, physically or abused, so they don't actually get involved. And there's been families that have actually been crying for help and have gone to social services to ask for help, even at the earliest of conception. So why is it that the social services tend to step in when things are extremely bad, or to the point where the child's actually got stabbed, and then turn around and blame the parents and say that it's been neglect and all those sorts of things, and the child's either removed from the home or the mother's put on parenting support and all these things, but yet the mother has been to them on several occasions asking for help?
Right, so I'm glad you asked that question. I'm going to give you scenarios. So when you're talking about cases whereby young people are referred in from a very early age to the local authority, if I take out the current issue we're talking about, they may not be referred in just for the issues we're talking about today. There may be additional things, which is why we've been involved. Now, when young people are referred in because of this, I wouldn't say that we just go and close cases just like that. There's a process that we have to follow. We have to undertake our assessments, not just based on the young person, but also their family unit. And we can choose to progress cases, whether onto, say, for example, child in need plans, whether actually we support families with services, or if the risk is very much high, we take the cases to something called initial child protection case conferences, whereby we call all professionals to come in to discuss the case and discuss the risks at this particular level, and then make a decision whether we feel actually the young person should be placed on a plan or not. Now, contextual safeguarding is very difficult to manage, even within the child protection process, because yes, the local authority can place children on child protection plans, but there's issues outside of the home that I think Nathaniel made a good point, that sometimes the CP plan doesn't always work. So you might have to go a bit higher. Now, in terms of removing children from their family home because of these issues, I can tell you from experience that the local authority will always go to court as a last resort. They don't want to go in. We always feel under the Children Act, children are best placed within their family home. That's the whole point of Children Act. We want children to remain in the family. But there are risks sometimes, which is the reason why sometimes we have to go cases into the legal arena. So I wouldn't just go to say that actually we just go in and whip children out and blame parents. We understand how difficult it is for parents, whereby it's not about the care afforded to them inside the family home. It's just what's going on outside. So I'm not going to say that we penalise parents, but we have to take into account risks. Sometimes there are cases whereby I gave examples earlier that, yes, there are young people whereby in the very, very beginning, the local authority could have intervened. It might be down to maybe doing those assessments early. So I'm not going to dispute that and say actually there are cases whereby it hasn't happened. But in most cases, we do intervene to support a lot of families. And yes, some families, I'll be honest with you, you don't want a social worker knocking on your door. The local authority. Who wants a social worker knocking on the door? So sometimes some families don't want assessments and don't consent to the work. But if the risks are heightened and they do want to work, we will put in place a lot of support, make the referrals, making sure social workers do support families. We try to even have our family network meetings, so whereby other family members who are involved, social workers sit down with them and say, look, this is the risk, but we want to know as a family unit, as well as ourselves, what can we do to keep this young person safe? So there's a lot of avenues that social service as an organisation go by to support families, to support young people. So I wouldn't just go and say, yes, we go straight in and remove children. No, we have to go through a process, and going to court and removal is very much a last resort. That's if you haven't explored everything. That's your last resort.
Okay, thank you. I mean, yes, you've explained it perfectly well, but I didn't mean it so harsh as in you just go in and take the child away. I'm just basically coming from the point that a parent has been asking for help on several occasions, gone to social services, but been told that the child is not being abused mentally or physically, so it's not really much that social services can do. But as soon as a child has been stabbed or involved in some kind of gang thing and social services has been alert, then there is some kind of, I'm not saying fully, but there's some kind of penalisation that's directed to the parent or mother, in for instance, because I've actually witnessed and seen that firsthand for myself. So one more, 0208 133 2257. 0208 133 2257. The studio lines is open for you to please call and speak to one of the members on the panelists. You can also text via WhatsApp. That's 075 3966 1744, 075 3966 1744. So, feel free to get involved. We only got a few more moments left. We haven't got a lot of time left, guys. So this is the opportunity to speak to some professionals on the panel here tonight. Yes, so Nana, thank you. I'll come back to you a little later, but thank you very much for sharing that. So let's go over to Shola and then we'll go to Stefan.
Can I just say I have to leave now? So,
okay. So Stefan, do you want to say something quick before you go then, please? Sorry, Shola.
Well, it's been a pleasure coming on this evening, and it's good to see that people on the same page. I'm sick and tired of people who pretend to have organisations and all these people are supposed to have workshops and get the money and don't do no workshops for the kids. It's all about our children. It's all about our future. And I'm glad I've come here to just give some experience. I haven't told you everything, but give some experience of what we have to go through. And the social workers, and they've got a hard job. I know for a fact, like you had a situation where a family was saying to them, look, this gang's always coming to my house, they're kicking off the door, they're beating me up and the family up. These and the social workers didn't do nothing until the boy got stabbed and killed. It's too late then because of the red tape. We've got to get to a situation where the community leaders, the police, social workers, all the people who are in charge have to come together and start to work out how we can get through the red tape when there is an emergency like it is. Told them to get the child out of the area, get the family out of the area. They've got to move today. It only took a week before this boy got stabbed. It was too late. Too little, too late. And this is what the problem happens sometimes. It's too little, too late. From the first initial engagement with the services, it's got to be started straight away. The ball's got to roll faster than it does at the moment. Not having a go at you, sir, not at all. But that's what's happened a few times in my experience. But I'm so glad I've come into this. And if people want to get hold of me, I've got my page on Facebook and stuff like it's being killed on our street. I'm Stefan Brown, the CEO. You can get me on there, inbox me. There's phone numbers. If you need mentors, I'll come. If you need stuff out of the yard, guns and knives, I'll come. If you know someone is a gang, I'll get them out of the gang, and so on and so on. So, it's been a pleasure talking to you.
Sorry, Stefan, can you just repeat that one more time, please, slowly?
Oh, sorry. My name is Stefan Brown. You can get me on my page on Facebook. It's Stop Our Kids Being Killed on Our Street. Inbox me if you have a problem that you don't want to feel to talk about, or just get hold of me on my phone number 07538 532 707. But anything, any problems with kids, anything, what to do, gangs, knives, anything, I'm there to sort it out. So nice to talk to you. Good to see you again, my dear. Nice, and I hope to see everybody else too.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Stefan. It was a pleasure having you this evening, and hopefully we'll have you again on this, because we haven't finished. We had, as you said, there's so much more to discuss. There's so much more to talk about. We're just touching the tip of the iceberg right now. But thank you very much. Thank you. Can I just go over to Natasha to see if there's anything to read out? I see in the chat there's a few comments by Lisa and so forth, please.
Well, I just wanted to put Stefan's details. Are you okay to read some of them? I think we should go to Karen was saying something about some of the stuff leading to murders, you know, some of the incompetence, I'm saying, of, I suppose that's kind of where we're going with social services, and where they haven't acted and children have died. So, for example, we've got one, hello? Did I hear something just now? We've got a Jaden Moody that unfortunately, it says a reachable moment missed to protect murdered teenager. So that was like the news article. There was also another child, again, social services have been suggested that they did not respond to the risks murdered teenager faced. So, you know, it is, I suppose, not only about the public services, it's about the community services, as in ourselves, you know. we have to be accountable as well. So, you know, there's a lot of times they don't get it right. And as somebody said, I think you were saying about some people don't like them knocking on their doors. And a lot of our communities don't like social services knocking on their doors. And again, that comes back to not having certain social workers that can communicate. And I'm definitely going to say, Shola, I'm going to pass it to you. I've got so much to say, but I know...
Haven't we all, Natasha?
I know, I've got so much to say. So if that's all right, Trace, I'll pass it on to Shola, and I'm going to go back to the comments, okay?
Thank you.
Right.
Shola, take the floor, please.
Yeah, thanks for that, Tracy. Thanks, Natasha. Thanks, Nana. Yeah, it's been great, Tracy. Great forum. You've sort of handpicked, as it were, this little team tonight. But look, just going back to Nana, I think that's what's been crucial to have somebody like Nana in this discussion, you know, being a young black social worker. And we've got to go there because, you know, generically, traditionally, when we look at the social work system, it's not having a dig, it's not being discriminatory, but we see mainly white middle class social workers, and so forth. They don't, you know, they haven't got a handle. This is what I was saying before about meeting the needs, and it's not a blame. It's just a fact. So if you've got a young person like Nana who's on the ground, you know what I mean? People can relate, and I'm not saying all the crime is centered around black people being from the African Caribbean community, but you know what we're trying to do here is look at our community, okay, and then look at the strategies that we put in place that can then have a ripple effect, you know, into the other communities. So I think it's crucial that, you know, somebody like Nana is here to give that kind of you know, sort of lateral sort of information, if you like, you know. So I think it's great. But what I wanted to say, you know, while Nathaniel was here, powerful organization, and Stefan was really going back to this education thing, because, you know, what is education? We don't need to keep looking at education just as an academic thing. You know, when we look at when we talk about mindset and we talk about identity, that was another big one that I wanted to pop up all night and really talk about. You know, where do we get, who infuses the identity in us? It's not a school that's going to do that. It's not an education or formal educational system, as it were, right? It's still going to come back to us. It's still going to come back to community. It's still going to come back to the family nucleus. And, you know, I'm not saying this to say it's about blaming. Look, one of the things that drives myself and drives Real Talk is not just to stir these situations up and just aimlessly, you know what I mean, keep going over them. It's to look for the positive outcomes, the positive solutions. You know what I mean? What are they? And it's about education. What does education mean? Right? The word educate means to extract something from within. Right? So in terms of then, you know, meeting our children, and I say our children, African Caribbean, in terms of the need, this word, I think I mentioned it the last time, Tracey, was emotional intelligence. You know, knowing how to put things across, knowing how to receive, knowing how to formulate relationships with other people, understanding that because you have a point of view and somebody else's is different, doesn't mean that they're wrong. You see what I'm saying? Look, your head could be full of knowledge, full of book knowledge. If you can't impart that knowledge out in a way that is understandable, then that knowledge you have is useless. And so, you know, that emotional intelligence, we place so much emphasis on IQ, yeah, which is the intelligence quotient, right? So we should be looking at the EQ, which is the emotional quotient, right? And so all this is tied in with, you know, when we talk about educating, you know, educating as to you know, our mindsets, you know, our history, who we are, the whole identity thing, you know, the self-esteem, the self-worth. You know, look, guys, look, I believe we've all faced some kind of dysfunctionality in our lives, in our journey, but we've not gone out and done certain things. You know what I mean? Somebody mentioned choice before. You know, and there are consequences to those, you know, the choices that we make. So I just wanted to it was the education thing, Tracey, that I really wanted to just zone a bit more in on, and just mention that it's about, you know, what do we extract from within a person that makes them have a more rounded view and a more lateral view of life, you know, of their circumstances, people around them, their environment, and so on.
You see, the education, as you say, it can be not necessarily academic. It could be, as you said, educating your history, knowing about yourself and so forth. But some children are not academic. Some children are pretty much creators. And they later on find that. But some parents drive and push them for the education, which is absolutely fine, but it's not not one size fits all. The thing is with the education system, in experiences and from what I've spoken to from other parents as well, is that a lot of the crimes that have taken place on the streets have started through exclusions. And there was one particular period of time where children were being excluded by the drop of the hat. And schools that mostly were responsible for all these exclusions were these academies. So when the academies came out, everybody wanted to get their children into an academy. It was a wonderful thing. And they governed, and they're actually, and their rules and regulations are completely different to somewhat than the actual local councils. And they basically, they have a system, a policy, you might as well say. It was like, no, they're not interested, that's it. If you do something, you get 2 strikes and you're out. Now, you're putting a young child out of school from as young as 11 or 12, and then they're going to go through the pupil referral unit system right through up until maybe 16 or 18 or whatever, and there's no hope. I've even heard cases where children were told that they're only going to go there temporarily because the child has certain dysfunctional behavior, and they'll be assessed, and they'll have all the assessments and all the looking after there, and then they'll come back into the proper education, which is load of nonsense. That once they go into the PRU system, they're lost. They're just thrown into the dungeon. They're going to there with one small situation, and they've come out as criminals. I always say that the diplomacy, for any child that goes into a PRU education system is either death or prison, and that's something that I've experienced and I've seen firsthand. And how I find this is that the education, the teachers, everybody that's involved does not understand. And like Nana, who's a young social worker, and he's in the management position, and seems like he's coming from the background and the understanding that it's not a textbook thing. He's actually got down on the floor to understand these people, and he can connect. We need more people like that. We need more people like yourself, Shola. We need more people like my niece, Natasha, who does creative therapy. We need more people like Stefan for Stop Up Kids being killed on the streets. And of course Nathaniel with the safety box. But you know what, to be quite honest, I didn't even know about the safety box, and it's been around for such a long time. So platforms like these are needed so that these services can be out there, so people can actually gain access to. Anybody want to jump in on that, Natasha or Shola, or even Nana?
I know Nana wants to say something. I'm just going to give a quick statistic, if that's all right, Nana, just before you say something, So I just wanted to say something around that. The Department of Education published some data, I think it was last year or the year before, that suggests that pupils from a Caribbean background had almost twice the England average rate of short-term exclusions at 10.37% in 2018 to 19. So it's, again, if the schools are already doing all these exclusions, that's why they're going into the PRUs. And then when they get into the PRUs, I've heard, unfortunately, which made me cry when I was doing my training, actually, I've heard that the PRUs are a route to prison, and I actually thought it was a route back to school.
There you go.
So,
I said
and one of your again, Karen said schools need to stop excluding. It should be banned, to be honest, because if parents don't send children to school, it's all over court, even prison. That is madness. So just pass it back to you, Nana.
Yeah, I was going to agree, because I mean, if you look at the trajectory of those young people in terms of when they are excluded, you know where it's going. And you know, the young people that I've worked with, you know, on the ground, you know, particularly when I've gone to their reintegration meetings, and I've actually kind of spoken to the schools about not excluding, you know, particularly, you know, I'll say, you know, young black children. It's been quite difficult because I know exactly where it's going, and a lot of the time when they go to Peru, pretty much they're kind of demotivated, and that's where it kind of starts in terms of the exploitation. So what we're talking about tonight. So I do feel that there needs to be a lot more, you know, dialogue between professionals, you know, and with schools, because actually I think the schools are very much quick to exclude a lot of those children, and particularly black children. You know, I mean, I've seen the case, you know, cases that I've watched so many times, the same old story, ADHD, ODD. It's the same narrative that I'm always seeing, and then they get excluded, and they go to Peru, and then that's it, and then the referral comes through to us. So I know just by working with these young children where it's going, and I think schools have to not be so quick to exclude. I think I think what we need to do is, if we were able to give schools a timeline to say, look, if you do this, this is where it's potentially going to be going for this young person, then I think they'll be less inclined to do so. But I think at those meetings, we need to be a lot more explicit with them and say, look, don't exclude. This is what's going on for the young person. And a lot of these young people say, Nana, you know what? I actually want to go back into mainstream school. I don't want to go to a Peru. And when they go to a Peru, they don't want to go and do any work. You know, a lot of them say, yes, I want to do my GCSEs, but the teacher's like, no, we've given you some opportunity. No, actually, give the young person a chance to shine. Because more so, when they go back in, they are going to do the work. And I think this is where we're kind of losing them. Proves for me are hotspots. I'm going to say it. Proves for me,
yes,
alternative provisions, they are hotspots for exploitation for these young people. You know, I don't need to go and speak to any one of the social workers.
Sorry, there's an interference.
No,
somebody mute themselves or while Nana's talking, please. I don't know what's going on there. Ah, that's good. It's gone.
Yeah,
okay, Nana.
If I was to speak to a lot of my social work colleagues, you know, a lot of them would say, yeah, you know, if they're going to Peru, that's it. We know where it's going. So I think schools need to do a bit more work. We know with young people will always push. They push professionals because they want to know who's going to be in it for the long haul. And if you're a professional who gives up on the young person, then that's it. But those professionals who stay, who give young people an opportunity, they are going to respond to you. And I think sometimes we're very quick to give up on young people. And if they feel, well, you know what, if this person's giving up on me, why am I going to, of course I'm going to give up on myself. There's nobody there who's in my corner, you know, who's giving me that response. And I see a lot with a lot of young black children, you know, and I think it's only when I do work with them, or in my experience, when I've worked with them, they are able to respond to me, because when they're angry, you know, I've taken them out, I've spoken to them, you know, even going to school, they say, you know, Nana, I won't use my social worker to be there because I think actually you can support me to be a voice. You know, and I think we need a lot more of that for these young people. I think we have to look at the times that we're living in for them. It's dangerous. And we have to accept that, you know what, actually it's a dangerous time for young people being out and about. And we have to be there to support them. I just think it's too easy just to kick them off and close your books down on them.
Exactly. It's just an easy way out. Sorry to cut you. I mean, the whole thing, as Nana, as you've said, Nana, and also Sola, regarding education, even Tasha touched on it. But to me, everything matters, because obviously when a child's diagnosed with ADHD and autism or whatever, it's deemed as problem child. And even if that child ends up going to court, the solicitors, the judges, juries, every person that's on that panel does not look at that child's defect at all. They just see a problem child. They look at the history. They might look at the child's been excluded from school X amount of time. He or she's in a PRU. They've been a nuisance. They don't even look at the fact that, you know, what's happened, what's gone on here, has there been any support? You know, even teachers, they don't have time or patience to worry about children who have got any special educational needs. Even though they might employ educational assistants, they don't have time. They just haven't got time. Everything's about targets. But yes, we have to be mindful of time. We've got to start wrapping up soon. Shola, thank you very much for that. Nana, did you still want to continue? Did you want to add anything else before I go over to Shola?
Yeah, one thing I was going to say, that in terms of when I spoke about, I think Nathan said about assessments, one thing I will say, particularly around the black community, when professionals are coming in from early and say those diagnoses are there for our children, I think we do need to be open to having those assessments being done. I think sometimes, in some cases I've worked with, particularly with black families, and I know with mental health and learning needs, in the black community it's a bit of a taboo. We don't want to touch it. And I think actually we need to be open to also having those assessments. I mean, yes, we can say professionals didn't go in there, but if the intervention is there from early, I think we need to be open to having those assessments undertaken, because then if you want to equip parents to challenge the system, we have to be open to having those assessments being done for our children, so that when these challenges happen, they're equipped to say, you know what, this was done when he or she was young, and this is their diagnosis, this is support they need. They may need an education healthcare plan, but because we're saying no, we don't want to deal with it, that little bit of ignorance, oh, we don't want to touch it, that can also shoot ourselves in the foot. So we need to be open to those interventions, even if it's culturally not something we would do. I think we need to be a lot more open to doing it.
Okay, thank you. Very, very much true. We do need to be open, and with the opening is for us to again be educated to understand what these are, CAMs, etc. It doesn't mean that your child is framed a nutter, so to speak, or a problem child. It means that your child has a special need and needs attention, you know, careful attention to understand his or her needs while being in school. So Shola, we've just got something quick can you add to this? I'll go to Natasha, and then we'll start wrapping up and finishing.
Sure, yeah, no, I was just going to say, look, it's been a great discussion to that, Tracy. I think there needs to be a lot more of this being done. You know, let's have a situation where there can be kind of drip feed information like this, you know, on a consistent basis. Bringing it back to ourselves, community. When I say ourselves, as a community, really taking the lead, and then letting the authorities follow our lead as opposed to the other way around. You know, in ourselves, let's just continue to engage. Let's continue to communicate. You know, and let's really aim to show our young people that, look, you know, we use this quip and this adage that, you know, children are the future, and we talk about future generations. Well, let that be the case. Let that be the real deal. And let them see that there are points of contact, you know, that our young people can come to. Let's be, you know, the real role models and the mentors. Even if we're not using that word mentor, we're all mentors in our own right anyway. You know what I mean? We have spheres and pockets of influence, people that we talk to, people that, you know, have some kind of degree of respect for us because of our lived experience, because of the training, whatever. You know what I mean? I think we just need to really harness this now in a way that just makes sense and just has that impact that's so much needed.
Okay, thank you so much. Natasha, are you there? Is there anything to read out in the comments before we completely wrap up, please, Natasha?
Okay, so Nana was saying thank you, Shola. Sorry, Nana. Sorry, not Nana. Karen, it's because her name's back to front. I think it's Lisa. Is it Lisa or Karen? I'm just confused.
It's Lisa Karen Broderick.
Okay, Lisa. So Lisa said, thanks, Nana. You're a great role model, and that children test boundaries all the time. And Just double checking over what other people have said quickly. If I've missed anything. If I have missed anything, please apologise. But on that note, I just want to say something as well. In all this reaching out to get help, I would like to remind people that you are your own future. You yourself are your own future, including our children. So for me, even when you're reaching out, please try and get an advocate. Because as Nana was saying about a voice, right? An advocate does not have to be someone you pay a solicitor for or something. A lot of the times they are free. They can come in all shapes and forms. So for example, I'm sure in your organisation, Shola, your mentors could also be an advocate for a young person. So it doesn't have to be a traditional advocate, have that title, but you need to have your voice heard. You know, and for young people, when they're going through situations like this, and it does turn to maybe criminal activity, etc., where they are not able to speak on their on the platforms that have been put before them, it's imperative to get an advocate. I have seen so many times the institutional racism take over and the cultural norms take over in organizations that even with young people that are working class. So it's not just the race, it's also the class system. So they've been penalized because of the expectations that somebody in power believes that where they should be placed, you know, that they shouldn't be achieving, you know. So it's imperative to get advocates when you're dealing with these situations. And I have got so much more to say, but thank you everyone, and thanks Tracey.
Thank you to every single person who participated, even our callers who called in today, my nephew Jacoda, and also to Martin. You can also you can get his book also on Amazon, Raising Up Role Models, and also to our special guest Nathaniel Peat from the Safety Box and Youth Programme. We also had Nana, as you all can see. Nana was here today. He's a social worker, a young social worker manager. So he came from both sides of the coin. So he's actually got an idea how to relate to young people and to understand young people inside out, which is, I think, a problem that a lot of authorities tend to misconstrue, I should say. And obviously our restart team, and our restart team is Shola, who's from Real Talk Mentors. Very important contributions for tonight from him, and also Natasha Benjamin, a creative therapist. I just want to say thank you all so much for tuning in and watching and getting involved. If you guys got anything that you want to contribute in the future, if you want to have a topic to talk about or any dilemmas, feel free to email on letstalkshow3@gmail.com. That's letstalkshow3@gmail.com. And also, if there's any comments, if you want to, you know, talk about how the show is going, or if you want to participate on the show, financial support as well, we're always looking for that. I'm also, as I said before, looking for somebody to help out in the studio. We're offering training for that as well. Again, let's talk show3@gmail.com. So please get in contact and voice your opinions this way too. And as for next week's show, it's Mother's Day and International Women's Day. We're doing a pre-Mother's Day special for next week's show. You've seen him before. It's Big Mike. Yes, Chef Big Mike's going to be here next week, and he's going to be cooking live. So if you want to join in with Chef Big Mike and know what he's going to be cooking, which apparently is some stewed chicken and rice, Drop me an email so I can add you to the live, and you'll be cooking live from your kitchen and his kitchen right here on Star Radio UK. Something of the first to happen. So that's a Let's Cook show next week right here 7 till 9 on the Deeva show, Star Radio UK, with Chef Big Mike. Okay, so spread the word, spread the word. And please remember, Restart is every first Monday of the month right here. Every first Monday of the month. So if you have anything that you want to contribute to, please do. Restart is all about mental health and all the matters that matter in the community. So if there's anything that you felt that affected you tonight, Tasha has also inscripted some of the helplines as well, and I know Lisa has also tapped in something for some of the helplines as well for anyone that felt they were affected tonight. As I said before, we've got Stop Our Children Being Killed on the Streets, which was Stefan Brown, the CEO for that, who was here today, and also the CEO for the Safety Box was on here today. That's Nathaniel PEAT. And again, if you have any problems, go to someone you trust, like an authority, maybe a social worker. But then again, these people will be back. I will invite them back because it's a topic that it can't just be covered in 2 hours. I'm sure you can agree. But guys, if you want to give a closing statement, and then we're going to sign off. So Shola?
Just keep tuning in to this restart program, Tracey. Just say to the viewers, hope you've picked something tangible that you can go away with and really work with, and just know that we're here to help. We're here to defend, to raise up that standard for our young people, and indeed ourselves as well. Us as adults need that education, if you like, that mentoring as well. So dual purpose. So yeah, keep tuning in. Thank you, Tracey. Great show.
Thank you, Shola. Thank you for coming and keep sticking with us. And Nana, please.
Yeah, thank you so much, Tracey. Definitely to all the viewers, continue to tune in. And I know it's difficult, but we will get there with the young people and our generation. And as much as they're pushing, we also have to push and not stop pushing. But we can do it. We can do it. But thank you very much, Tracey.
Thank you so much, Nana. Thank you. And Natasha.
Okay, wow. The most important person in this place is number one. So everyone, look after yourself. We've got like a really difficult time out here. So, look after yourself, or we can't look after anyone else. Yeah? So I'm sending that message out. On that note, good night.
Thank you so much. So Restart, new month, new week, new beginnings. Okay, remember that right here on Star Radio UK every first Monday of the month. And Restart will be back with you guys, another therapeutic and in-depth conversation to help you in the community, all that matters, and mental health. Thank you guys, and I'll look forward to seeing you right here next week 7 till 9 for Let's Cook on Star Radio with Chef Big Mike. So please make sure you guys are here. Okay, don't forget, tune in guys, and I'm going to leave you with Isaiah Templeton. Okay, please guys, I'll see you next week. Be safe, be careful. Okay, it's called Everything Will Be Alright. Bye bye.
In need, and with you on my side, I know everything will be alright. Oh, I know everything will be alright. If not for you, I never could have made it. In all my trials